I think the coolest addition to the DCEU's history in the Snyder Cut was that one sequence where Darkseid had an Endgame-style battle with the Greek pantheon, Atlanteans, Amazons, humans, and one very unimpressive Green Lantern. This was an interesting way of taking all the disparate elements of the DC universe, from the gods to the underwater people, aliens, and even mankind, and then blending them into one shared lore. Now, when you watch movies like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, or Man of Steel, it will truly feel like they're all pieces in the same puzzle. Though I think it would have been cool if there was an ancient speedster or Shazam the Wizard to really drive the point home. While the nightmare sequence in Batman v Superman was a cool concept, it never really made any sense. Like, how exactly did Superman, the paragon of hope and justice, become an evil dictator, especially in a world where all of these other heroes exist? It turns out Darkseid pretty much wiped everybody out. The Snyder Cut featured a gloriously brutal montage that showed off how Darkseid slayed Wonder Woman and Aquaman before using the anti-life equation to take over Superman after Lois lost her life. That little bit of context makes a lot of difference. It also raised the stakes for the entire film, because we know if Darkseid stepped foot on Earth, things were not going to go well for anyone. The nightmare sequence in Batman vs Superman really made it seem like Batman was at the end of his rope. While the new Justice League didn't exactly fix anything for Mad Max Batman, it did give him a little slack. We got to see that he's got his own super team, with Mera, Cyborg, The Flash, Deathstroke, and even the freaking Joker. This mad ragtag team of anti-Superman rebels proved themselves to be fascinating pretty much instantly. I don't know about you, but I'd love to see a movie where Batman and Joker have to team up to stop a crazy Superman, even though they hate each other. I mean, I could just play Injustice again, but I'd much rather see the movie. This edition really felt like the true love letter to the fans who supported the Snyderverse so passionately over the years. To get to see this generation of Joker and Batman share a tense sequence going over their history we'll never get to see was a great way of saying, this is for you guys. Thanks for the love. Literally no one predicted that not only would Cyborg have a great role in the new Justice League movie, but that he would be arguably the main character. While he was more or less some random robot dude in a perpetual bad mood the first go-around, turns out that he was actually a beautifully depicted modern Frankenstein's monster of the internet age. Every moment from him learning about his powers, to him listening to his father's loving final words to him off a tape recorder, was just gold that showed just how underused a talent Ray Fisher was. It's left every single moviegoer who saw both edits of the film end with the same question: why would you ever cut this? I guess that sequence where Batman awkwardly fishes for parademons was just too important.
What the hell?
It's not surprising that once upon a time, Ezra Miller's The Flash film was getting fast-tracked as a buddy movie between him and Cyborg. Not only did the pair have fantastic chemistry, but Barry Allen proved himself to be a worthy hero in his own right. This Barry, unlike the original Cuts version, was a selfless guy who saved innocent people and hot dogs alike from destruction. Possibly the biggest surprise in the entire film was the moment when Steppenwolf wins, destroys the planet, and then Flash has to run back time to stop it. That's amazing and really puts a new perspective on the two young heroes who basically run a Speed Force football play to save the world. So how did we go from Flash saves the world to Flash falls into Wonder Woman's chest? I'm so confused by these choices. Who knew that Steppenwolf was actually a character? In the original one, he was just this ugly CGI guy who was just growling about mother boxes all the time. Now, don't get me wrong, he is 100% still exactly that guy, but now we understand the context behind it more. It turns out that Steppenwolf was actually the most overworked employee at the Darkseid Supervillain Corporation. He isn't just another average megalomaniac bad guy, as he is a sad middle management villain who just wants to go home. After some sort of failure that occurred years before the movie, Steppenwolf now owes Darkseid 50,000 conquered worlds. And all this time, I thought my student loans were bad. One of the craziest things about the new Justice League was that it set up a bunch of films that we've already seen and some that we'll never see. This movie teased freaking Aquaman, which came out in 2018. Also, I'm pretty sure Mera didn't have a British accent in that movie, so now I'm just really confused about everything. The even bigger movie that it set up was that Ben Affleck directed The Batman, which never made it out of the conceptual phase. Apparently, this movie was going to be inspired by that David Fincher movie, The Game, and would feature Deathstroke systematically destroying everything in Bruce's life in revenge for something that happened in the past. Probably something to do with that whole one eye situation.
An eye for an eye.
It's been heavily hinted that this would have included Deathstroke cutting down Alfred in a final attempt to drive Bruce over the edge.
And deceased.
By far the craziest flex the new Justice League pulls is cramming Martian Manhunter randomly into a poignant scene with Lois Lane and Martha Kent. Like, apparently instead of helping Batman and the gang fight Steppenwolf, Martian Manhunter thought that it was really important to make sure Lois was doing okay. It was kind of a nice nod to all the fans who thought that General Swanwick was the Martian Manhunter in Man of Steel, but it was really surprising. Though Bruce Wayne did take it in stride when this random Martian dude showed up on his back porch like, hey, y'all seem cool, shoot me a text next time. At this point in Bruce Wayne's life, he's seen psycho clowns, resurrected alien superheroes, and a history lesson about Greek gods that totally used to exist. I'm trying to tell you that, at this point, nothing can faze him. So while most of the ink this movie has gotten concerns all the cool stuff Zack Snyder added or Joss Whedon cut, there's actually one thing about the second film that's a better reveal than any other huge cameo or tease. That would be that the Justice League actually works like a cohesive team of superheroes who seem to like each other.
We actually finally have a plan.
Seriously, in the first film, they were at each other's throats every 8 seconds. In the sequel, they had so many great moments where they just chilled and bonded with each other. I love the moment where Diana and Arthur talk about their shared mythological histories while the junior heroes dug up Superman's grave. Then there's the moment where Arthur laments about how unfair it is that Cyborg has the weight of the world on his shoulders right after losing the only family that he had left. These people feel like actual friends who would probably hang out with each other when they were not being all superhero-y. You just know that Barry set up a Justice League group chat the second that they were done beating up Steppenwolf. While it was great to see the DC superheroes get the love they deserve in an epic movie, the real winner of the entire experience was undoubtedly Zack Snyder. While he already had plenty of fans, a good deal of people considered him to be one of the worst directors working in Hollywood. Batman v Superman certainly wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but people were prepared to write him off as an edgelord hack who didn't understand anything about the characters that he was adapting. His Justice League proved that was completely untrue. In fact, his version of the film had a lot more heart and humor in it than Joss Whedon's, who is known for that sort of thing.
Maybe you should work on a lasso too. In black, of course.
This movie proved definitively that Zack Snyder has serious skill as a director. His film lived up to the height that it set years ago and the promise of what a DCEU could be. While Snyder's continued involvement with DC and Warner Brothers is probably done, I think it's safe to say that Snyder's prospects are looking better than they ever have before. Now, who's ready for Army of the Dead, huh?